Hi, my name is Leah. I am a 2026 bride, and I thought it would be an awesome idea to quilt 21 table runners for our wedding. I know it's an absolutely insane idea, but I thought it would be really fun and add a really nice personal touch to our wedding since I've been getting more into sewing and quilting and all that stuff. So come along with me for this journey. It started with thrifting all of our fabric, just kind of finding the cheapest way to get this accomplished without spending hundreds of dollars on a DIY. So I went to thrift stores and I was looking for bed sheets that are in our wedding colors or like somewhere around our wedding colors. I feel like I really lucked out on the variety I was able to find, and it was pretty cheap to get all of this fabric, so a win-win there in my mind. I then found this pattern by Cut Loose Press that I really loved because stained glass is a really big theme in our wedding decor, but I wanted it to be longer than this is, so I took it into Procreate, found out how it was constructed and how I can elongate it, and then made sure that it would cover our 60-inch round tables. So these are about 70-ish inches, which I know is probably not the proper overhang for a table runner, but you know, I'm happy with it. It's longer than it is, so I'm good with it. And once I found out the design, I had to play around with colors, figure out how I can use my fabric that I have the best way I can, make sure I spread it out across the design so that I know I have enough, because although thrifted fabrics are like a really good find in terms of price and stuff, it does mean I have a very limited quantity of each color and fabric. I really had to make sure when I was planning my colors, I was spreading it out evenly and making sure I had enough fabric for each piece that I wanted to do. Since we have 21 tables to cover, I thought it would be best to do like sets of 7 table runners, so that way the fabrics are spread out and we get some variety in all of our tables. So I took it into Illustrator so I can start playing around with my colors and see how they look together and as sets and all of that fun stuff. I love redoing things again and again, so making it in Procreate, making it in Illustrator, doing all that fun stuff to get the perfect vision board created. So I am also a very visual person, so I went ahead and made pattern pieces of all of the pieces of this table runner, so that way I can know what I need to cut out, what goes where, all that fun stuff. And then I just had to cut my fabric. At this point of recording this video, I have already made 14 table runners, so I have learned a lot about sewing in those 14 table runners. When I started, I was still pretty novice. I've only done a few major sewing projects and even less quilting projects. So now that I'm 14 table runners in, here's a few things I've learned. There is such thing as over-correcting your fabric and under-correcting your fabric. So as I feed it into the machine, I kind of let it do what it wants to do, but still make sure my edges are lined up and I'm getting close to the right seam allowance and not just letting it go haywire. But I also noticed if I tug too hard, push too much, make sure it is exactly perfect on the seam allowance, I get puckering and I get all sorts of different stuff. So be a perfectionist, but not too much, is something I've learned. Something I've also learned is the way you press your seams is actually incredibly important. First few, I was just going kind of willy-nilly, and I was short half an inch on one of my center motifs, and I had no idea where that fabric went, how I became half an inch short on every single one of them. Turns out I pressed my seams opposite of what I was supposed to, and that half inch does in fact make a difference. It should measure up how it's supposed to measure up. So that's another thing I have learned in this journey. Most of all, I have just gotten way better at sewing. Each one I have done has been better and more accurate than the last one. I started by cutting each individual table runner at a time, and I've discovered it is way faster for me to just do it all at once. So when I cut a set of table runners, Each table runner has roughly 170 pieces of fabric on it, which is insane. But when I do my batch cutting, it just makes it so much easier to just sit down and sew and get through them. Each table runner has about 170 pieces of fabric in it, which means when this is all said and done, I will have cut and sewn 3,573 pieces of fabric, which is insane. I've been kind of tracking my hours in it. After 14 table runners, I think I'm about 70 hours into this project. That is definitely an underestimate because I have forgotten to track it a few times. Needless to say, this is probably the biggest project of our wedding. It's going pretty well. I only have 7 more to do as of December 10th. And that's when I say 7 more to do, I have 7 more tops to make. I still need to attach a backing and bind all 21 of them, so that's gonna be its own adventure. But let's get to cutting some fabric. And that's how much fabric I have after cutting out 14 table runners worth. Okay, here is all of the fabric for all 7 of my remaining table runners, and I still need to cut the black that will border every single one of these pieces. So here is the setup, my sewing machine, all my fabric I need, and then my ironing board right here. Let's get to sewing. And that's 21 table runner tops done. Now I'm gonna pack everything up and bring it to St. Louis to sew with my mom and mother-in-law. In terms of backing fabric and the binding, we just went on Amazon and found California King sized sheets that we're gonna cut up and use for that. Apparently that is the only video I got after they were completed. So guess what? I am now married, and we had all of these on display at our wedding and it was amazing. I am so glad I got these done in January for our April wedding, because with all the other last minute things that popped up to do, I would have been ripping my hair out. And, you know, I was busy getting married, so I don't think we have, like, really any photos or videos of these set up on the tables, but trust me, they looked gorgeous. Here is a picture of our cake on one of them. It turned out really awesome. And if you're looking at me like, Leah, that was so much work for one day, you would be so right. But guess what? I made them into blankets. With 21 table runners, I was actually able to make 3 blankets out of them, which is super fun and exciting. Which means that we get to keep one as a keepsake, but I also get to gift one to both of our parents for all of their help with the wedding. Our moms specifically with their help actually making these table runners, but both of our families were so incredibly helpful for wedding day and everything in between. So it's just a nice thank you that we're able to give them from our wedding day. When it's all said and done, I have clocked 145 hours on these things, and I know that is an underestimate because there were times I forgot to clock in. All the help of my mom's as well, I'm not sure how much hours that would have added to it, and then I forgot to clock in while I sewed them together into blankets as well. But 145 plus hours is what we're going with for this project. If you like crafty content like this, please subscribe or leave a like below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the process of me making all of these table runners, and I hope to see you again soon.